I didn't scream. Not when the iron seared into my arm. Not when the steam hissed louder than my pulse. Not even when my sister, Haley, smiled as she pressed harder. What broke me wasn't the pain. It was the silence. Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed, unmoved. Dad sat at the kitchen table, eyes locked on his coffee. No one ran. No one yelled. No one helped. It was my home. But that night, I realized I was never part of it. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just packed everything I owned and left one promise burning in my chest. If they let me burn, I'll burn everything they've built. That was the last night they ever saw me powerless. The girl who left was scarred, but the woman who returned, she came carrying fire. They always looked perfect from the outside. White picket fence, fresh paint, my mother's roses blooming like obedient soldiers. Neighbors waved. My parents smiled. Haley, older sister, was the golden child, the high-achieving daughter every parent wanted. I was the other one, the shadow trailing behind her perfect light. Haley had trophies, pageants, charm. I had chores, curfews, and silence. When we were little, she used to pull my hair and say, "You're just the glitch in a perfect family photo." Mom would laugh. Dad would say, "Don't provoke her, Kiara." I learned young that peace in our house meant my pain stayed quiet. Every Sunday, we sat in church-pressed dresses, polished shoes, hands folded like good people. But no sermon ever softened my mother's voice when no one was watching. No prayer ever stopped Haley from whispering worthless as she passed me in the hallway. I once told a teacher I didn't feel safe at home. Child services came. They left with cookies, compliments, and a personal thank you card, signed by Janice Hartwell, my mother. That night, Haley tripped me down the stairs. I was 13. Mom said, "Stop being dramatic." Dad just sighed. And so I stayed. I stayed through bruises, broken things, broken promises. I stayed until college gave me a way out. But the truth? I never escaped. Not really. Because when you grow up in a home built on lies, no door ever fully closes. It follows you in the way you flinch at kindness, in the way you apologize when someone bumps into you, in the way you look in the mirror and wonder if you deserve to take up space. I left physically, but the burn lived under my skin, even before the iron touched me. And when I got the call from my landlord that weekend fumigation required 72 hours, I hesitated. The only option I had? Back to the house I thought I'd buried. Haley texted me one word: figures. Mom followed with, "We'll make room for you, don't bring drama." I packed light. Just one bag, one shirt for work, and 1,000 walls around my heart. I told myself it would just be 3 days. Keep your head down, stay quiet, don't provoke her. I didn't know then that the burn waiting for me wouldn't be metaphorical. It would be flesh, fire, and silence. And that this time, I wouldn't be the one cleaning up. The moment I walked through the front door, I felt it. That stale, heavy tension that clung to the wallpaper like cigarette smoke. Nothing had changed. Same beige walls, same perfectly arranged couch pillows. Same silence that screamed louder than any slap. Haley was already there, sprawled across the living room like a queen who never abdicated. Phone in hand, legs on the table, fake lashes, real venom. She didn't say hello. She didn't even look up. Just smirked and muttered, "Told Mom this would happen." Mom was in the kitchen. She gave me a nod, like I was an inconvenience. Not a daughter, not a guest, just logistics. "Your room's full of storage. You'll sleep on the pullout in Haley's room." Haley looked up then, eyes like knives, her voice sweet and poisonous. "House rules. You don't touch my stuff, don't use my mirror, don't breathe too loud." I wanted to laugh, but my throat had forgotten how. I slept with one eye open. She left the light on all night, scrolling through social media, blasting TikToks. She, accidentally, Spilled nail polish on my shirt the next morning. Mom said nothing. Dad was at work though. If he were home, he'd have only shrugged and gone back to his paper. That second day, I stayed out. Found a quiet corner at the library, and told myself, just one more night. I stared at my work shirt, the one clean thing I brought. White. Button down. Wrinkle prone. At 9 p.m., I slipped into the laundry room to iron it. I kept the light dim. Didn't want to wake ghosts. The iron was old, humming low, and angry. Steam curled from the metal as I pressed each line, each fold with precision. If I could keep the shirt neat, maybe something would stay in control. Then, I heard her voice behind me. Did I say you could touch my iron? I turned. She was standing there, wine cooler in one hand, that mocking smirk on her lips. Lipstick perfect, balance off. It's Mom's iron, I replied, careful. She stepped closer. Nah, it's mine. Like everything else in this house. I swallowed. This'll just take a second. You always were such a jealous little parasite. The insult didn't sting. Not like it used to. But the way she hovered, arms loose, energy buzzing, I knew something was coming. She tilted her head. Still smiling. Still trying to act like you belong here? I looked down at the shirt. Pressed one more line. Steam hissed. Walk away, Haley. Wrong words. She moved. It happened so fast. She yanked the cord from the wall, and before I could move, the hot iron slammed into my arm. I didn't scream. My body jerked backward, knees buckling. The iron hit the floor with a hollow clang, but the pain, God, the pain, was already spreading like a wildfire across my skin. I dropped to the ground, clutching my arm. The smell of burned flesh filled the room. I bit my lips so hard I tasted blood. My eyes blurred. I couldn't see her face. But I could hear her. You always act like the victim, she hissed. You never belonged here. You still don't. And then footsteps. Fast, sharp, familiar. Mom. She stopped in the doorway. Her eyes scanned the scene. Me on the floor, my sleeve burned through. The iron still hot beside me. Haley standing with her arms crossed like nothing happened. What the hell happened? Mom asked flatly. She attacked me, Haley said without missing a beat. She tried to hit me with the iron. My voice cracked. I didn't, she burned me. Mom's gaze didn't soften. Didn't shift. She looked at Haley. Then at me. And said it. That's what trash gets for existing. No emotion. No hesitation. Just fact. As if she were reading the weather. I couldn't breathe. The words cut deeper than the burn ever could. You deserve worse, she added. I looked up. Haley's mouth was curled in triumph. Mom's face was stone. And behind her, Dad appeared half asleep, holding a mug. He didn't ask questions. He just looked at me, shook his head slowly, and walked back down the hallway. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat there, me arm blistering, my chest hollow, and realized something inside me had just died. But something else was born in its place. It was colder than pain, sharper than hate. I stood. Haley stepped back, startled, like she expected me to stay on the floor. Mom raised an eyebrow. You better clean that up. I looked at them both. I'll be out of your house in 5 minutes, I said. But this time I'm not running. I'm remembering. Mom scoffed. You think you scare us? No, I said, voice low. But soon, you'll learn that even a parasite can leave you hollow. I didn't take the shirt. I didn't take the suitcase. I didn't even take my charger. I walked out with nothing. Except the truth. And I swore on every inch of scorched skin I'd make that truth hurt. I didn't go to the ER. I walked into a 24-hour pharmacy with a numb face and a boiling arm. Bought gauze, burn cream, painkillers paid in cash. The pharmacist glanced at me, opened his mouth, then closed it again. I wrapped the wound in silence. No tears. Just precision. Like I was folding something sharp and sacred. I didn't go to the police either. What would be the point? Mom chaired the community wellness board. Dad played poker every Friday with the police chief. Even if I had pictures, even if I had bruises, they'd smile and call it a misunderstanding. They'd done it before. But I didn't go back to my apartment either. I went to Morgan's. She opened the door in pajamas, hair messy, eyes wide. Kiera? I didn't say anything. Just pulled up my sleeve. Her gasp echoed in the small entryway. Jesus Christ, what the hell did they do to you? I sat down on her couch. The cushions sank beneath me. I don't need help covering it up, I said. I need help flipping it. Morgan stared at me for a second. Then nodded. I'm in. We stayed up all night. She brought out tea. I brought out memories. Old text messages. Voicemails. Photos of bruises I had stored and never dared to share. Screenshots of Haley mocking me in group chats, calling me the defect. One voicemail was from Mom laughing on a call, saying, Kiera bruises like a peach. You barely have to try. Morgan's hands shook when she hit play. We've got enough, she whispered. Enough to make them fall. No, I said. Not just fall. I want the world to see what they are when no one's looking. Morgan leaned back, eyes focused. Then we do this smart, controlled, clean. I didn't want chaos. I wanted clarity. They had always used their silence as a weapon. Now, I would use their words, their own words, as the blade. Haley had spent years polishing her image, until it gleamed. Instagram, perfect. PR polished. Queen of fake empowerment posts, filtered brunches, and corporate buzzwords. She worked at an elite marketing firm downtown Lux PR. Her job? Managing high-end clients, maintaining reputations, and handling crises. The irony was almost poetic. I didn't just want her fired. I wanted her exposed by the very system she thought she owned. Morgan helped me set everything up. We created a fake consulting identity, a small wellness brand looking for PR support. We bought a burner phone. Set up a business email. Used Morgan's apartment as the official office address. We submitted a vague project brief, requesting Haley by name. Your branding is so fearless, I wrote in the email. I'd love to work with someone bold and unapologetic. Within 48 hours, we had a meeting scheduled. I wore a dark wig, large glasses, and a gray pantsuit. Professional, forgettable, unrecognizable. Haley walked in 10 minutes late. Her blonde ponytail sharp, her smile manufactured. She didn't recognize me. Not even a flicker. The meeting was short. I nodded, asked fake questions, feigned admiration. Then, I slid a large envelope across the table. What's this? She asked, flipping it open casually. Inside? Photos of bruises. Screenshots of messages. A printed transcript of her drunken voicemail. Honestly, slapping the loser straight is the only thing that works. I watched her face shift. From confusion to disbelief to horror. She looked up. Her voice dropped. Who do you think you are? I leaned in. I'm the glitch in your perfect photo. The one you tried to burn. Her hand trembled. I'll sue you. I stood calmly and tapped my phone. Behind her, at a table near the window, Morgan's friend, a legal intern, had recorded the entire exchange. We walked out before Haley could speak again. By morning, Lux PR released a statement. Due to behavioral concerns and new evidence presented, Ms. Hartwell has been terminated pending further investigation. Her Instagram went dark. Her sponsors vanished. By Friday, she was trending, but not in the way she liked. I didn't post anything. I didn't gloat. I just sat with Morgan, sipping coffee. One down, I said softly. And for the first time in years, I felt warm without burning. If Haley ruled social media, Mom ruled the real world. Church, fundraisers, school boards. To the outside, Janice Hartwell was the picture of dignity. Organizer, volunteer, spokeswoman for family values. Crowned Mother of the Year 3 times in a row by the local paper. But no one had seen her behind closed doors. When she laughed as Haley bruised me. When she told me I was a mistake that lived too long. I waited. I knew the perfect moment would come. And it did. The Spring Community Gala. Mom was scheduled to speak at the podium, to deliver her annual monologue about resilience, unity, and strong families. She loved cameras. She loved applause. I bought a ticket. A simple black dress. No one recognized me. As she walked on stage, the crowd clapped. Phones up. Press ready. She started. This community was built on compassion, on grace, and on love that begins in the home. I stepped forward. Quiet. Steady. The event host blinked in surprise as I handed her a small USB. This was sent anonymously, I said calmly. For the tribute segment tonight. It's titled, What Family Really Means. The lights dimmed. The screen behind my mother flickered on. First, a photo of a bruised arm. Then, a scorched forearm. Then a voicemail clip. Kiera always bruises like a peach. It's almost funny how easy it is to get under her skin. People gasped. Another audio clip, Mom's voice again. She should have never been born. I prayed for a son. The room fell silent. I watched Mom freeze. Her face didn't move, but her hands clutched the podium. Whispers bloomed in the crowd. Phones lowered. And then I stepped up, just close enough for her to hear me. That's what trash gets for existing, right? Enjoy the spotlight, Janice. This time, it's your son edited. She dropped the mic. Literally. And ran. By sunrise, the story had spread. The local church board requested her resignation. Sponsors pulled out of her events. The newspaper removed her profile from the Legacy Mothers archive. She tried to say it was fabricated, that someone had faked her voice. But truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to play back. And this time, no one was clapping. I expected silence. What I didn't expect was a lawsuit. 2 weeks after the gala, I received a thick envelope in the mail. Return address, Janice Hartwell. Inside, a formal complaint. Defamation, emotional distress, character, sabotage. It would have been funny if it weren't so desperate. The same woman who'd stood in a kitchen while her daughter's skin burned now wanted the world to believe she was the victim. Olivia joined the petition. They claimed I doctored everything, photos, audio, timestamps. They said I was mentally unstable. That I had always been a jealous, dramatic girl seeking attention. But this wasn't high school. And they didn't have lawyers anymore. Not since Haley lost her job. And Mom's gala donors disappeared. I, on the other hand, had built quietly. I'd saved. Prepared. Grown stronger in the shadows. I showed up to the pre-hearing alone. Sharp black suit, burn mostly healed, no fear in my eyes. They showed up in outdated church clothes and panic. Mom clutched her pearls like they could protect her. Olivia wore sunglasses indoors. They called me unstable. They called me dangerous. But when the judge asked for evidence, I opened a folder. Printed screenshots, medical receipts, audio transcripts. Even an email Olivia sent me 2 years ago titled, "You were born unwanted, don't forget it." The judge reviewed everything. He didn't ask many questions. He didn't need to. After 20 minutes, he looked up. "This is not a lawsuit," he said. "This is an intimidation tactic. Case dismissed. On record. Permanently." Mom gasped. Olivia burst into tears. I didn't say a word. Just stood. Gathered my folder. And walked out past them. Not as their victim. Not as their daughter. as the storm they created, finally striking back. I didn't go home after the hearing. Not to my apartment. Not to Morgan's. I went to the office of Phoenix Reach, the nonprofit I'd quietly helped fund over the past year. We had just signed our first lease. A modest space. One room for legal aid, another for trauma therapy. Our motto hung above the door. Not all burns leave scars you can see. We offered help to those hurt by the people no one talks about. Sisters, mothers, aunts. The abusers, hiding behind birthday cakes and church programs. 6 weeks later, a journalist reached out. They had heard whispers of my story. I agreed to speak anonymously. The interview aired on a Wednesday. One quote spread like wildfire. She pressed a hot iron into my skin, but the real scar was the silence. That's what I broke. Thousands responded. Emails, letters, stories like mine. Olivia saw it. Of course she did. She posted a shaky video on YouTube, tears, denials, crocodile guilt. But the comments turned against her. You burned your sister. And now you're mad because she turned that pain into something you can't destroy. Her followers disappeared. Landlord terminated her lease. She was blacklisted from every PR firm in the region. Mom tried to volunteer again at the community center. They said, "We're full." One evening, my phone rang. Haley's number. Her voice cracked. I lost everything. No, I replied softly. You lost everyone. Click. I turned the phone off. Walked into the counseling room where a teenage girl sat, sleeve pulled low. I smiled at her. And in that moment, I knew. They tried to burn me alive. But I didn't just survive. I became fireproof. And from their ashes, I built something they can never touch.